Today I'm gonna do the fantasy science fiction tag. I saw a little word weaver doing this tag. I'll put the link to her channel and the cards here. But anyway, let's get started. The first question is, what's your favorite sci-fi genre? Cyberpunk, space opera, etc. And your favorite book in this genre? I like the more philosophical stuff. I'll be remiss if I didn't mention Ender's Game just because the premise is so interesting and that ending really makes you reflect for a little while. And I also like to mention the Cowless Walking trilogy by Patrick Ness. It's about a world where everybody can hear everyone else's thoughts. The first book is great, but I think as the series progresses, the story gains much more depth and talks a little about war and, individuality. But even, books like Ready Player One, which are absolutely so much fun, they still have a little, deep undertone. I just love science fiction because it makes me think seriously, and I love fantasy, and I love how those genres, they, explore different things. It makes us see things from a different angle. What's your favorite sci-fi being? Cyborg, android, alien interface, etc. I find this question a little weird because for me, it really doesn't matter. As long as you explore that well, I think it makes an interesting book. Cyborgs are really interesting if explore the obvious things you could explore with that, like what it means to be human. If your entire body is a machine and things like that. They're interesting things to explore. So again, for me, it makes no difference if it's cyborgs, if it's aliens or whatever, as long as the author makes interesting choices and explore those themes in interesting ways. And I'm saying the word interesting a hell lot today. What's your favorite sci-fi gadget? I thought a lot about this one, and honestly, any sort of teletransportation device would be great. The only problem is that I watched a documentary recently that talks about, the science behind teletransportation, and it doesn't sound so appealing because basically your particles, they disappear for a moment. And I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound super great. I love Minoriti's reports, cars. I think that's fantastic. I would love if that could exist because I think we have to move beyond cars and planes. I think actually we already have the technology to do something better. I just don't like cars, apparently. What science fiction book had the most breakthrough idea in your opinion? Actually, I'm reading a science fiction novel that I'm loving so much right now that I just have to mention it. I'll get it. Here it is. It's called Illuminae. I think that's how you pronounce it. I got this book at TLA last year. I had the chance to interview the editor of this book, so I'll put the link to that in the cards here. The story is told through reports and interviews. I was worried about how the authors would, make the reader connect with the characters. But turns out the authors do an amazing job with that. I love the characters in this book. The lights are super it's like a sauna here. I would recommend this novel for fans of Ready Player One. What's your favorite genre? Steampunk, high fantasy, urban fantasy, etc. I pretty much like everything. I do tend to like a kind of more dreamy fantasy. I don't know quite how to explain it, so I'm gonna show you some examples. The first book that I think defines that really well is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefauer. I'm still not sure that's how you pronounce her name. It's about lean lines. You can Google that. It's quite an interesting concept, and I think the authors explores it in a way that feels very grounded in reality and at the same time very dreamy. I also want to mention Lips Touched 3 Times by Laini Taylor. There are 3 short stories here, and my favorite is the last one. This has more like an old school vibe to it and has beautiful illustrations on it. I don't know if you can see it. So yeah, I think those pictures kind of give you an idea what kind of book this is. And last but not least, I would like to mention Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. Again, this is the kind of fantasy that is very grounded in reality, but it still feels very dreamy in a sort of way. But this is much darker. There's a movie coming out this year. There's some raw emotions in here, and also has amazing illustrations. Yay! I don't know if you can see that well on the camera. So next question, what's your favorite magical fantastical being? I have to say I like vampires. And I know nowadays if you say vampires everybody thinks of, Twilight. But I mean more like and rise vampires. The idea that they live forever, but they have to drink blood and they can only come out at night makes them really interesting creatures to explore. What's your favorite fantastical artifact? What? Lightsabers. Simple. What fantasy world do you think is the most well developed? I think everybody answers the same thing here. I have to go with Lord of the Rings. I think there is no competition. What Tolkien did with Lord of the Rings, it's just, I think nobody else has ever done that. It's mind-blowing, the amount of work that he put into that. I bet that everybody goes with Lord of the Rings. And what science fiction and fantasy book do you think combined would make the most amazing of the stories? When I tried to combine my favorite, fantasy novels and my favorite science fiction novels, they just didn't blend together. I'm gonna go with one that already works, which is Star Wars. There is still a lot of debate if Star Wars is more like fantasy or if it's more science fiction. I think it's basically a good blend of both. I'm sorry that I couldn't think of combining anything. What are your favorite underrated science fiction and fantasy novels? I'll have to mention Lipstash 3 times again. This is a short story collection, and that's why I think it's underrated. That's why I think not so many people are familiar with it. It's very unique. I also want to mention a fantasy series that I absolutely love. It's called The Burning Sky. I do have the first novel, it's just that I can't seem to find it. But this is the second book in that series. I would say it's Harry Potter, but funnier and sexier. Definitely has more special effects. Anyway guys, those are my recommendations, and this was the last question. If you have any recommendations for me, I would really love to hear that, especially if when it comes to sci-fi, because when I was doing this tag I realized that I haven't read as many sci-fi novels as I thought I had. But that's pretty much it for today. If you like this video, please hit the like button here below, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!